And we're on. Good afternoon, all of our viewers, all of our supporters, survivors, allies. We are thrilled that we have arrived at day 3 of our Championing Over Violence Summit. Today, we are starting off with an esteemed young woman from Pakistan. Her name is Ms. Elaine Alam. She is a development and human rights practitioner in Pakistan. She works in the sector since 2007. She's the founder and Secretary General of FACES Pakistan. Educated at the University of Sussex, where she attained a Master of Arts in Governance, Development, and Public Policy. Further, she did her postgraduate work at the School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London, where her focus was poverty reduction, policy, and practice. She also attended the Innaird College for Women in Lahore. She holds a Bachelor of Arts and honors in international relations. She has extensive experience in poverty reduction programs and community development, both in public policy and practice, and specializes in development management. She's also currently one of the key actors in technical support to the human rights policy and implementation authorities in the Punjab province. She works with working group on freedom of religion and belief, and has recently advocated for recommendations to the single national curriculum, forcing conversions, shrinking civic space, and the rights of transgenders, the rights of women, especially in religious minorities, as well as climate justice. Thank you so much for being with us today. This program is being live streamed on Facebook and is also being recorded on Zoom. We appreciate you being with us, and we would love to hear what you came to share with us today. You have the mic.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for the very kind introduction. And I hope this is a conversation between us as well. And I already shared a few details about the kinds of groups that I work with. Most of all of my work is something I'm very passionate about. And what drives me is when I see the inequality between these different groups, whether they are women that I work with, or transgenders, or even the migrant and refugee community. And what I see in this is precisely the intersectionality of marginalization between and among these different groups. And what I mean by that, and part of my work in my dissertation recently, when I just graduated from IDS, is also based on intersectional identity and the intersectionality of marginalized women. And I think that when I say that, I mean, when I talk about transgenders could face multiple intersectionalities, multiple types of marginalization. And that transcends, it could be their identity. It is also religion. It is, of course, gender. It can be their poverty, and it can be several other layers. We could just keep on adding layers to their marginalization. When I talk about refugees, it could be, and it is very, very similar with them. So it's women who are refugees, children who are refugees, vulnerable groups, their lack of accessibility to health, education, their poverty, and it could be several others. And then when I talk about religious minority women, it is also the same, where women have different marginalized identities, and they could be poor women, they could be more vulnerable, they have their religious identity for which they are discriminated, and then they of course have their gender for which they are discriminated. And I think all of these factors put together, there are also of course several problems that they then face, which is their legal battles, their how the state sees them, how society sees them, how different groups in society see them, how the international world sees them. I think that also affects so much of what goes on in my country, in Pakistan. And I think, and that's where my work comes in when I work with religious minority women in particular. And that's also something I wanted to speak about because it has so many layers of marginalization when you speak about gender-based violence. So what they go through as individuals, as identifying as young as religious minority women, um, they can be easily picked up, kidnapped from a poor area if they are poor Christian or Hindu women, young girls. So if they are minors, they're even more vulnerable. And it is usually minor girls who are abducted. Um, and I'll come to another point as well. They're abducted, they are then raped. They then go through, they are coerced into changing their religion, and then through marriage. So um, it'll usually be a man from the majority community who will kidnap these young girls or a young girl from a minority community, from a poor village in either the Punjab or the Sindh province, and then force rape. The rape is usually a common factor here. Abduction is also a common factor. And then there is a forced conversion through marriage. So this is the situation at the moment with minority women. And what happens then is, because the state doesn't have a law on forced conversions, none of these events that take place before the actual conversion are recognized. And the discourse at the moment, and the debate towards the policy is where the state and other religious leaders are currently raising this point that these young girls from minority communities run away and accept the other religion because they want to escape their poverty. And my question there is then is that is not something to be proud of. That is not a valid excuse. B, that is not something to be proud of, that they run away, escape, and accept another religion because they want to escape their poverty. That means that the state has failed in protecting these women and protecting these religious minority communities, so that they themselves escape their poverty and do better for themselves, so that they are not so vulnerable at the hands of the other community. So it's a very complicated debate that is taking place currently in my country. The bill on forced conversions, which was raised by a parliamentary committee that worked on a bill on forced conversions, that was recently rejected because currently our country is going through this strange phase of majoritarian points of view, pretty much led by the thoughts of our Prime Minister. And bills, policies on the rights of women, on the protection of women, on the protection of minorities are being handed to religious groups to review, which is again something civil society is very upset about, and people like me are upset about, because how can the state is there to protect and to make laws for their own people, for their citizens, and those who fear living in that country especially. And the state is not doing that. What they're doing is handing over these laws to be reviewed by religious leaders. Why do I care about what a religious leader has to say about? I care about whether my state is protecting me or not. And at the moment, we feel that the state is not protecting its religious minorities enough. So, as I said, this is a very complicated debate and discourse in Pakistan. But what we're doing is advocating very strongly against these forced conversions, against these forced marriages, against early child marriages, because this is all a chain. So it works in a way that's like a domino effect. So it just keeps happening. So the different ways. So it's early child marriages, forced conversions, and all kinds of things that all of these marginalizations that affect women. So all of these come into play, and we're trying to advocate against these and work towards the protection of religious minorities, vulnerable women, marginalized women. Yeah, and any questions on that part are welcome. And the second group, as I said, transgenders. Pakistan recently, well, that was one success area for us, where into 2019, Pakistan passed a law for the protection of and safeguard of the rights of transgenders. And the top point in that was to recognize them, to give them a legal identity, which not many countries have at the moment. And Pakistan is one of the first countries to have that kind of policy for them. But the problem there is that ever since 2019, since the passing of that law, the implementation is very poor. And also because transgenders live in terrible conditions around the country, that they're not aware of their rights either. So they're not aware of the benefits of this law, and they do not have enough resources either, to work towards their community. So you see a lot of mushrooming now of transgender civil society organizations, which is absolutely great. It's great to see their activism. It's great to see them fighting. It's great to see them struggling, because that's their own voice. It doesn't have to be me or you or anybody speaking for them. It's now them coming out for themselves.
Yeah, so we just pass the mic so they can just amplify their own voices. Absolutely. Yep. Okay. Wow. One of the first things that you mentioned that struck a very delicate chord with me was the rape of these young girls being used as a weapon of subjugation. And
yes.
Yeah, and these forced conversions.
Yeah.
So what religious group is spearheading this? What group, what religion are they being converted to?
Yes. So, I mean, if you just a bit about Pakistan, we have, of course, we have 3% minorities, religious minorities, which includes Hindus, Sikhs, Christians, Baha'is, also Parsis, and other groups. But the rest of the percentage, which is about 97%, is of Muslims in the country. And what we face at the moment is, yeah, that was your question, but was there something else?
It absolutely is my question. Yes, you're hitting
it. Right. So, and so the steps basically are like, there are several cases, and if you read about forced conversions in Pakistan, anybody can look that up. You'll see how that usually takes place. So it's usually a 14-year-old girl from a very far away village, remote village in Pakistan, or not even remote now anymore. It's just about the young girl being a poor young girl from a minority community, whether Hindu or Christian, being abducted, because that's a very soft target for the majority. I mean, so they're either working at the land of landlords, they're either peasants, or their parents have other kinds of odd jobs at working with the landlords, or they work in that village at some place, but the landlord is of course chief, and the landlord has influence and power, and of course all the governance system, or all our law enforcement agencies are very much influenced by this landlord. So it's not the police then that will have power. It is the landlord who says anything who will have power, or the people who are supported by the landlord, or any of the influentials in that particular village, or in that district, or in that union council. That's kind of the way Pakistan is, the way our villages and our cities are, our districts are. So I mean, so when we talk about that, what happens is then so any of these young girls, they can be abducted. That is followed by rape, because then it becomes, and we all know in our society, in a conservative society, especially if you go further down into villages and rural areas, it's a matter of honor. In any case, it's a matter of honor for in Pakistan as a society. And so it's very difficult to say that a family or a girl who has been raped will speak out, and will say that I have been raped, and they will say that I have been abducted, or for the family to come out and to fight their case and say that their young girl has been raped or abducted. And then, of course, after that act takes place, and then there is this whole thing about because the girl has now been raped, she should be married to the person who abducted and raped her. And when that marriage takes place, that's when kind of the forced conversion takes place, which means that when the girl signs that marriage contract, she is accepting that she becomes part of that religion. And this has now become a tool of enforcing. Yes, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
A tool
Yeah,
of,
go ahead.
Finish what you were saying. A tool of.
Yeah, so this has become kind of a tool of discrimination, a tool to subjugate religious minorities. Because you should also, if you know about Pakistan, you'll also know that we have a law which is called the blasphemy law. And anybody who commits blasphemy, and I think it's more appropriate if you read about it than for me to say it on social media. If you blaspheme, you can be given a death sentence eventually. So there's a law in Pakistan that says that. So I mean, civil society and the international community has been raising a lot of voice about this. This is one kind of tool of advocacy and lobbying, and one kind of pressure group also on the state of Pakistan to protect religious minorities against this law. And that's putting Pakistan into a lot of trouble internationally as well. So I mean, I think this is my assessment, that there is sort of a toning down on that level, but a very rampant sort of course that is being taken on forced conversions, because that is a very silent way. And what you can say is, well, your girls leave willingly, and that's when they come into it. So look, we're not doing it. It's these girls who are trying to escape their poverty, and they're doing this willingly.
You made a couple of comments that I want to touch on. I want to ask for clarification. You indicated that the young ladies, if they're raped and their families, they're subject to honor killings. Did I get that correctly? They're subject to honor killings if it is they return to their families. The non-Muslim families, are they subject to honor killings? Are they subject? What happens to them if they manage to their families?
With the non-Muslim families, that is not a trend. There is a bit of a traditional and a cultural difference that comes in there. With non-Muslim families, you will not see a lot of honor killings. And on the other hand, with some Hindu community members, it is seen as an extreme matter of shame and as an extreme matter of dishonor coming to the family, and that the girls should just not speak, and the girls should just not leave their homes because they are so insecure. But less of honor killings in that regard. So the answer to that broadly would be no to honor killings. Sorry, you're frozen.
So then what happens if the girl has managed to escape? She's been raped by this other person and she manages to escape and go back to her country. What happens to her? Goes back to her community. What happens to that girl when she goes back into that community?
Good question. So there are different things that happen now in different cases. So girls who manage to come back, which is very rare, girls who manage to come back, some are just kept inside their homes. Um, many of such families flee that village, try and run away to other places in the country. So they escape their place where they could be hunted down. Some of them are actually, their families sympathize with them. Their families try and fight their case in courts, and that is something very, very complicated. And I'll just come to that because that's a bit detailed. So, and some of them, some parents will just say, let's not talk about it. We will not mention this to anybody. So this is a chapter closed. This should not be spoken of ever again. It's a matter of shame. It's a matter of dishonor. So that's different kinds of things that happen in such cases. So what happens with if a girl comes back and the parents want to fight the case and take that case to court, the process is complicated because, as I said, we don't have a law on forced conversions. One. So there are different criminal aspects that are added to that case. So rape, abduction, etc. So that part is then there. When it comes to the forced marriages, so another law one law that we have is on early child marriages, which is where the minimum age of girls to marry is 16 in one province, and in the other province the minimum age for girls to marry is 18 years old. What happens is then in some cases, or actually in most cases, the lawyers of some of the lawyers manage to make fake documents. So they get, because we're talking about rural, remote areas, their government offices can be also easily influenced. And they usually get fake documents made for these girls to sort of say that they are not young, they're not minor girls, they are 18 years old. So if they are 18 or 16 years old, they made this decision out of their own free will, and that's a lie because those are fake documents. So when that happens, the court is very constrained then, in the kind of evidence they're getting. And then the other side has to prove, the victim has to prove, and the victim's family has to prove that this is a lie. The girl is actually just 14 years old or 12 years old. So that's where the case gets very complicated. In some cases, the court has, where we have had good lawyers and good lawyers have fought the case. The court has ordered some of the young girls to be kept in protection by the government. We have shelter homes or shelter centers that are set up by the government, and then some girls go there until there is a final decision on their case. But some have been unsuccessful, where the other side has, of course, proven that these girls are not minors. They are adult girls who made this decision out of their own free will, and now they are married, and so everything is invalid.
The tapestry of human rights violations here no doubt has to be making it overwhelming to the judicial system to handle these cases.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm definitely getting that. I'm also getting that the ones whose families do attempt to fight in the judicial system, those families have to have some serious financial resources, right? Because they are fighting against a system that is overwhelming.
Absolutely.
So to bring us back to what we are really helping people to thoroughly understand are all of the systems that are in place that are perpetuating violence to human beings throughout the world. And the systems there that appear as you relate the facts appear to be cooperating with one another.
Absolutely. I mean, that's so basically you have like radical lawyers, politicians, influentials, political leaders, bureaucrats, kind of all ganging up
Wow.
at some point as well, who want to, in the name of protecting their religious beliefs, do not see the harm that it is doing to religious minority communities, leading to severe human rights violations. But sometimes that doesn't matter to them. So what you're essentially doing, as you're saying, what these women and their families are doing, and civil society organizations are doing, is trying to fight the system and trying to change the system, towards these human rights violations and protecting these religious minority girls. So yes, the judicial system is overwhelmed, but on the other side, there is also a lack of willingness that we are fighting to change the system, because a lot of people think it is okay the way it is, and that even more radical policies are needed to protect religious beliefs rather than protect human beings who are affected by these policies, by these radical policies, and by these radical systems. And yes, the financial burden is really horrible, which is again why many civil society organizations are trying to help fight this legal battle, because, as I said, a lot of these women are from rural backgrounds. These families are rural families, and they do not have the money to fight these cases, or they have probably never even been to courts or police stations, and they are harassed, abused, accused, and they have to pay bribes. They have to pay for the right legal documents. They have to pay for the right lawyer, and that's where also we come in. But I'd say there are also a lot of good people, so religious minority lawyers, who some have maybe gone through the same kind of experience, or some have been touched or motivated or driven by these events, and they also take up pro bono cases, which is great. But then the burden is so high because even they can't bear a lot of those expenses on their own, because they have to pay the system also to fight the case. So it's just this loophole, this chain that is then this vicious cycle that you get into.
A perpetual system of oppression and suppression. And that's what I'm seeing. And
sorry, I lost you there.
Oh, I said it appears to be a perpetual cycle or system of oppression and suppression of the minorities.
Yes.
Okay. This, what you led into, feels like a natural progression to my next subsequent question. With all
I can't hear you again, I think.
Let me turn up my mic a little bit, or get closer to the computer. Hang on. Let's get you a little bit closer. Is that a little bit better? It might be the connection.
Yeah.
Is that better?
I think it's the connection a little, but yes, you were going to ask a question, right?
Yes, I was. So the next natural subsequent connection, and welcome in, Charleston. I see you. Thank you for being here. My next question is, what brings you to this work? Let's ask that first, really, because this is really, really tough, and you are a warrior. You are fighting against the tide, the herd, the tsunami of oppression. That's as I see it. Okay. So what makes you say, I am going to help with this charge? I'm extraordinarily curious about that.
Yeah, I think I think it's a lot of it has to do with my upbringing, about how the kind of people my parents are, how they brought me up, the values that they brought me up with was to, of course, it's always been, it's kindness, it's to see, it's um I remember going to as a child in school, my parents sort of the kind of upbringing I had against bullying, against harassment, ever since I was a child. The way they educated me on simple values like, do unto others as you'd have them do to you. And I think things like these have stuck to me. And when I see other people, when I see people around me, or when I see society around me, I think what I try and identify is, would I want the same thing happen to me as it's happening to someone else? I think that's enough to rock you, really. So as we say, we have a phrase which is in Urdu, it's, when you have the floor swept from under you, that's enough to have to make you feel like that. So if I see something like that, would my parents would never want something like that happen to me. And uh, I'm privileged, and I could very much be in the same position if I had been born in a household like that. If I were born in another in a rural part of Pakistan, with parents who are not my current parents, I could have been in that position, but God put me in a place where I'm probably, meant to do something with everything that I feel, everything that I see, everything that affects me. So I think this upbringing is not for nothing. It's to do something. And then the kind of I think the kind of awareness also that was around me. So I was always very self-aware growing up. So my parents had, of course, protected us from me and my sister from outside harms, but there was also a lot of self-awareness, also a lot of responsibility as human beings. And I
Okay, so for me,
got into things like this. I got into work like this, working with the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan. So when I was going to college, I had started working with the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, working with a newspaper daily. So that was that would bring forth everything. So international relations, politics. I would learn about what's going on in the world. And I think all of these things put together, and then this kind of self-awareness, knowing what's going on around the world, knowing about inequality, about everything that's going wrong, and then my upbringing put together, I think this is what really motivated me to do what I do today.
you spoke of several things that I help people to hone in on so they can recalibrate some of their life experiences, right? And you spoke first and foremost about values. So if you were to give me your top 3 or top 5 personal values, what would they be?
I think number one is truth. And we could be funny about it because truth comes and bites you in your back.
Yes.
And it can be any time. So I think number one is really truth and honesty. I think number 2 would be
honesty. Okay, I love it.
So truth and honesty.
They're vying for number 1. I love that they're vying for number 1. I love that.
Yes.
And you have somebody cheering you on in the background about it too. I love that too. I'm with you on that. Okay, what's number 2?
I think the other is compassion.
Compassion.
Of course, it is me. It is compassion, and I don't know how. The third is however you want to translate to do unto others as you have done to yourself.
That would be empathy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's something it scares me, and it also drives me. So it also scares me when I think, what would I be going through if I were in that position? And I don't want to be in that place. So, just stop and think, would someone else, would that other person want to be in that place? And what can you do, to help the other person? And all of these things keep coming back to you, really. And that's something that I say that from experience.
Number 4, what would it be?
Oh, there were 4?
I said 3 to 5. Of course, I was
3 to 5.
I was being greedy. I was like, I like her so much. I want to know so much about what makes this beautiful human being.
Let me be cliched and say love. I
Love.
think I don't think there's any space for hatred or for negativity. I think if you give love, you do touch another person in some way, and you may not see that change immediately, or you may not see how the love that you've given sort of transpire in some way, but you will see it someday. You will.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, and number 5, what would it be?
I don't have a number 5 now.
You don't have a number 5? Well, you actually did truth and honesty as number
I did truth. Yeah. You can count too.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, because we really had to kind of decompress from the heaviness of what you initially shared. So I felt like that was a good segue for us to decompress a little bit. And now in these final few minutes, we have about 10 minutes left together, about 13 minutes left together. I wanted us to talk about, in an ideal world, what are some of the solutions that you, and i.e. your organization, Faces of Pakistan, see to be workable, practical solutions? Perhaps if you need to break it up into, to chunk it, as we say in education, perhaps short-term goals and longer-term goals, even some transitional goals. What would they look like to start to address some of these issues? What would that look like?
I think number 1 is myself and my organization, organizations like mine, need to know, understand, and realize that if we work for people, we need to work with people. I don't think you can work in isolation, which is one problem I have in the way organizations work. I think you have to work collectively, bring people together, and bring affected people together. So let's not just speak for the ones who are suffering. Let's include the people who are suffering and let them talk about their suffering and learn from it. Hear them, sort of internalize their experience in the work that we are doing, and then develop our plans or develop our goals, develop our objectives, and the way we share it with our donors, our partners, then try and come up with something to make this course better. The other thing is, what I don't like is also, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. So I don't like it when you're doing the same thing, I'll start doing the same thing. There are 3 other people who do the same thing, but we're all not getting anywhere. So it's much better to pool resources and to work on collective solutions on areas that we find mutual. And that also saves resources. It saves our donors a lot of headache as well, because they don't want to give several people money for the same thing. They'd rather give people they'd rather give it to us together, so that we can all make a difference and contribute. So I think number one is what I really want to sort of, that's something I've learned for myself. I don't do it the right way myself either. Sometimes it's when you're speaking for people, but I don't have them, with me. So what am I doing? How can I how can I start saying, transgenders now should start working on their identity, and I'm going to start doing it when transgenders, don't believe in that themselves. I have to hear their voice. I have to have them on board. We have to work together and then come up with solutions and then be a voice.
Well, that completely jives with something that I learned in a job that I had many years ago. And systems failed when they were pushed on people. This was in technology, okay?
Oh, right.
However, if you work in advance to achieve buy-in, show them how they can benefit from, an alliance or collaboration with you so you can get them through the process.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so achieving buy-in, absolutely. I've learned that in my life as well. Okay, anything else?
I think let's not just also let's not be driven by money also. I know money is a very important factor, and I say that, and that I think some people get very annoyed when I'm sitting at a network meeting and their network partners, and I say, oh well, this is something we can contribute to by us on our own instead of asking for money, and they look at me and like, why are you spoiling chances for everybody? But why is she saying this and why is she here? But I think, so I don't mean that, I don't mean we can't be paupers and then work for other people as well. We do, of course, we need resources to implement. But what I mean is there is so much that we can do through our intellectual capacity, through our own, through our own selves, with whatever we have inside ourselves. If we can contribute to research, we can contribute, with maybe if we're a network of 10 and we all contribute 1,000 rupees, I say we have 10,000 already, and 1,000 rupees would be nothing for me, but 10,000 rupees could maybe help a family get their month's worth of ration. I mean, it's things like these that I mean. But if we sit together and we can work out solutions, that's what I mean. I think we can all contribute individually to our collective causes as well. And let's not forget that. Let's not forget that we don't always need our thousands of dollars of grants to implement something. Sometimes we need those steps that are taken individually, and our strengths and capacities to come out individually to pool in that into our large network and into our lots of money.
My heart is swelling with everything that you're making out of your mouth. I was like, boy, she sounds like me. Oh, goodness. I was just actually, thinking about this morning. People have no idea the sacrifices we make. Those of us who are so inclined to help others, we forego many things for ourselves that people don't even realize that we sacrifice.
Yes,
they have no.
And we're also fighting our own battles, and
correct.
And sometimes, and we're struggling with, whether it's even right to talk about our own struggles, because then it's probably like, are we showing off, or are we saying we're suffering, but we're working for the suffering? So it's a very hard place to be in, and people don't see that a lot of times. People don't realize that. And then, yeah, you're right. It's a very difficult place to be in, and we have our own battles. Correct. Sometimes we're fighting our own system, which is sometimes it's a shame when you're a civil society organization that's working for human rights, but at times your own rights must be suffering. But people don't know that, and you're fighting that battle too. So that's all very challenging, and it takes a toll on people like us.
It's like you're in my life.
I think I am.
Are you in my house? Oh, goodness. Yes. I so resonate 360 degrees.
I can understand. Absolutely.
That's how I know you're in this work, you know. Just a little digression story.
Sure.
I get a lot of criticism. People are like, why don't you have a car? Why are you taking the bus and the train and walking and biking everywhere? How could you be this and you know, won't people, you know, look down on you and all of this kind of stuff? And I said, you know what? I asked myself after my car was totaled by a drunk driver, do I need it?
Oh my goodness.
Okay. And yes, it is challenging for me to do certain things at times, but that was the question I asked myself, you know, thinking about the people that I wanted to serve. And instead I diverted that money to what I thought was more important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are hard choices.
Those are hard choices.
It might seem something absolutely very small to somebody, but it's very hard for you because you're the one who has to make that decision. Correct.
So you and I understand each other very well.
Yes.
Anything?
In my country, it's the other way around actually. So
okay,
if I'm looking my best, I shouldn't be, because then that means I'm probably not doing what I should and I'm digressing from my course, from what I want to do. If I'm doing something for myself, means I'm probably not doing the right thing for the people I claim to be working for. So in my context, it's turn it upside down and it's a different challenge. So you have to be out there to prove also where you're right.
wow.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I'd like to just presence what we just both discovered, okay? Because for me, it's you're not presenting the image that's necessary. And for you is, we don't need you to look like you have any kind of image. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow. So you know what we call that? Danged if you do and ding danged if you don't. You can't win either way, clearly.
You can't win. Exactly.
Okay. So
you clearly can't win either way.
We will just forge ahead. Yes.
Yes. So we just do what we're doing and we'll do something right.
Correct. So for those of you in the audience listening in or will be looking at the replays, if you are involved in the work, and as Brene Brown says, unless you are in the ring, duking it out, fighting these fights on a daily basis, reserve the judgment. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Because we've reached an actual end to our conversation. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to chime in at this time. So we have just about 13 minutes for questions and answers.
All right. I have one question for Elaine. Elaine, how are you funded? How is your organization in Pakistan funded? Because I would expect this work is not just challenging, but it challenges the status quo within the country. And as such, you would probably have a target on your back. So how are you navigating that as a human being? One, and then
yes.
How are you funded? How are you able to execute anything? And can you give us an idea of some of the successes you've had in your organization with some of the work that you've been doing?
Right, thanks. So yeah, I do have targets on my back all the time. It's difficult because you have to keep thinking about how the system of your organization will keep running, how you'll pay your team, whether you'll have to lay off people if you don't get more programs to work on. And it's a constant struggle and a battle there because you have to keep coming up with programs and projects and keep applying for them so that you have that money to keep paying also your own team, which is very, very important. They are your people, you know, in a way. So, and they are biggest support, and they're the ones who are out also in the field doing that job with the utmost dedication. So it's hard to let them go or to see them going, which is why it is very important for an organization to keep its cycle running, because they are your best people. They are the ones you've trained, who have trained with you, who know the ethos of your organization, who know how your work has to be done, how you work with communities. So they've done it all with you, which is why you have to keep them on. And the way then we are funded is through international funding and through bids that we apply for. So it's like all organizations apply for competitions, programs like European Union calls, USAID calls, any other international calls that come up that we then bid for. Of course, there are a lot of failures. Most of them are failures. Most of them are shot down. They're unsuccessful, but then some of them are, which is how we keep going. So one of our biggest successes is our migration and development program that went into its second cycle with the international, with our donors, and they're mostly from the Austrian government, who have a large migration and development program. So that's ongoing. We have a program with transgenders with the United Nations Democracy and Endowment Fund, and that's a bid we won after, I would say, 3 years or 4 years of trying continuously. And then there's just several examples like these, like 2 grants that have ended already with the European Union. So that's how we keep going. And as I said, many failures, but some successes too.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. I recognize now I re-looked at our program, and it is actually time for the next speaker.
Right.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this connection and conversation. And I hope that—
Same here.
Yes, I hope that people are now aware of your organization. And if they were to try to reach out to you, let's say that somebody looks at this and says, we'd like to help out, all right, how would they get in touch with you? Can you please briefly let us—
Yes, of course. So just email me anytime. My email address is Elaine, Elaine, Elaine at facespakistan.com. I'm there always. My emails are, I'm horrible like that, because then I have all my email accounts on my phone and I keep checking, and I'm anxious that way. So yeah, always on that, and very happy to be connected with anybody who wants to get in touch with me.
Excellent. And the website, is it facespakistan.com?
Yes, that's correct.
The same? Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank
again.
you.
And
Thank you very much. You, Laurel, thanks for being great. Sarah, thanks to you. Aisha, for connecting us. This has been wonderful. Thanks. I hope we stay connected.
Absolutely. You're one of the few people that will get my personal number.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I feel energetically the connection here. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. Likewise.
This has been a delight. It truly has been. All right.
Same here, yes.
Another sister.
It's been lovely.
Another sister in arms. That's how I consider you at this point. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for being you and all that you bring to the world. Continue to be the warrior that you are, and stay prayed up, because I heard you reference God. I heard you reference things that I resonate very profoundly with. And yeah. I know your name now, and you're in my prayers as well.
Oh, thank you. You too. All of you. Thanks a lot.
And many blessings on the journey.
You too.
Okay. All right.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Lovely. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.